Hello, everyone. This is Kyla from Hidden Gems Literary Emporium, your family owned nonprofit community bookstore. And today we have a very special guest. We've been trying to get him in for an interview for a while, so we're happy to have him here, Mr. Ronald Voelkel, whose wife is the author of this book, The Pieces of Me, by Miss Bobbe Voelkel, who is no longer here with us, but Mr. Voelkel is putting his heart and his soul and everything into getting her beautiful poetry out there into the world for us readers all to enjoy and benefit from. So we thank you so much for that, Mr. Voelkel.
You're
And
welcome.
no problem at all. And where do you live right now?
Well, I just recently moved from Southeast Virginia, the city of Chesapeake, to Covington, Louisiana. And the reason for the move is that my health is not what it should be. And I had no family whatsoever in Virginia. And my youngest son lives in Covington. So near him, I'm just 10 minutes away from his house. And 2.5 weeks ago, I got out of the hospital. I had congestive heart failure, and I'm recovering from that at the current time. So that's both my sons were concerned about my health. And my oldest son lives closer to me in Columbia, South Carolina, but his job takes him on the road 1 and 2 months at a time. So moving down there was really not an option.
Yeah. And you know what? I remember those few weeks when I was talking to one of your daughter-in-laws, and
Yeah, that was Kim. Yes.
yes, and so we're very, very happy that you are doing better now, and we're happy that you're closer to your sons. And this is the first time that we've really spoken, but you seem like such a loving and caring father, and a lot of times you can tell how the parent is based on how the children react. So sometimes children say, well, look, it's not my problem, I don't want to deal with it. But your son said, Dad, come on down, move closer to us so that
Yes.
we can be close to you.
Right.
So that, that says a lot. And speaking of sons, here's my son peeking his little
Okay.
forehead.
Well, little fella.
Yes, just like Madison, weren't we? He'll be 2 next month, and we were just talking about your granddaughter Madison.
Well, yeah, Maddie. Yeah.
Madeline, thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
You get a lot cut out for you as he turns 2.
well, we love the energy. He keeps us going.
Oh, yes, he will.
Yes, and I want to talk a little bit about that poem, Madeline, but Miss Madeline Rose. Well, there's 2 about Madeline, but before we get into that, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us about your wife, how these poems came about, and why you put it together.
Okay. Well, my name is Ron Voelkel. I'm a former naval officer and naval flight officer. And I met Bobbe in the summer of 1962. And for me, it was love at first sight. And we dated from that time. And then, of course, I couldn't get married since I was a midshipman at the Naval Academy at that time. And we were married in April of 1966. And Bobbe, in retirement, would stay very active. She wrote poetry. She did genealogy. She could have been a certified genealogist, but she decided not to take the test. she started a Parkinson's disease support group that met on the weekend because there was not one in the area. And she, myself, and the board of directors of the Parkinson's disease Hampton Roads chapter started the first 4 Parkinson's walks in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which continue to this day. And the support group still meets to this very day. And she not only suffered from Parkinson's, which eventually took her life, but also from cancer. And she beat that back. And she had a big sign in her home office, which read, "Don't tell God how big your storm is. Tell your storm how big your God is." And she was just a very unique lady. She loved her children. Her grandchildren were the highlight of her life, and she kept herself very active in retirement. She would not allow anything, especially Parkinson's, to beat her down. And neither did cancer.
I really loved in the back the bit that you wrote about her. It says that she, and her middle name is so beautiful, Barbara Rose Bruckner Voelkel, entered the world with her dancing shoes on and her singing voice poised. She was a lover of music, race car driving, road trip adventures, and genealogy. And then you go on to say how she had a master's degree in mathematics and nuclear engineering.
That was not a master's degree. That was a bachelor's degree.
Bachelor's, yes, thank you.
Yes.
And
yeah, she was a very unique lady.
Yes. And and I want to encourage everybody who will be watching this video to come on by Hidden Gems Literary Emporium and please get your copy of The Pieces of Me by Miss Bobbe Bruckner Voelkel. And one thing that I love about this book, and we did read it, as you can see, we take notes.
Yes.
I loved, you get a great sense of who she was and what she cared about by reading this book and her
Yes,
poetry.
you do.
And so you can see that she, and the about the author is at the end, which is cool because after I read the poetry and I saw the things that she liked to do, I said, oh, yes, of course. This is what the book sounds like. And so she loved, it seemed as though she was one who was deeply inspired by her environment, the places that she went, or, scenes that she saw. She especially loves her family, her grandchildren. And so, when we started this interview, I said I wanted to talk a little bit about this little
Maddie,
who's a grown up now.
Yes, she is. She just turned 20 on the 10th of January. She delayed her freshman year at DePaul University in Chicago by a year because she was in touch with them September before last. And DePaul, when she's asking questions, well, how are you going to handle COVID? They didn't have a real answer. So she decided to put off her freshman year for 1 year and work and build up her savings to help pay for her education, because she received a 50% scholarship, whereas her older brother to Northwestern received a full scholarship plus transportation back and forth from Chicago to Columbia, South Carolina.
Wow.
So, the only expenses he had were, personal. And of course, the ever-present book, which in my opinion, grossly overpriced, especially if they're science books. I mean, unless a brand new discovery comes along, science books don't change. The only thing that changes in a new edition is the numbers in the problems. That's it. That doesn't take any imagination to do, that's for sure.
Agreed. And my husband and I met when we were at Rutgers and in New Jersey. And
Mhm.
so I went in as a biology major, and I can attest to the prices of the textbooks. It's
Oh, it's
absolutely
ridiculous.
insane. Yes.
To me, it's obscene and immoral what they charge for books. I mean, there's no, their cost cannot be justified, in my opinion.
Agreed. And that's why we encourage students, because our bookstore is right in the heart of New Brunswick, right in the heart of Rutgers University. So when students come in, we always encourage them to donate their old textbooks to the bookstore so that other students can get them
Yeah,
for
right.
little for nothing. We
Yeah.
have recommended donations for books that are donated. We have recommended donations of $5 for soft covers and $10 for hardcovers. There was this one time we're dropping off books at the Honors College. We see a student going through the box, and she says, "Oh, this is the book I need for next semester." I said, "Oh, you just saved $150.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you alluded to it in the bio of Bobby, but she had a beautiful singing voice.
Yes.
And in 1972, a new Roman Catholic parish started in Virginia Beach, and she was the first choir director.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's she was very active while she was healthy, and very active while she was fighting Parkinson's.
I just flipped open to this poem that I would like to read, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. It's called I Dance in the Morning.
Oh, yes.
It's a good one.
That is my favorite.
Oh my goodness. And I was going to ask you what your favorite poem was. And instead, I said, let me just read this one. And isn't that funny? Okay. I dance in the morning, rising from my bed to pray. As I greet each newborn day, I marvel that I'm still around to put my feet onto the ground. Shaking, stumbling, trying to see, I take each step gingerly, making sure my feet can stand, with Parkinson's disease holding my hand. My day begins with capsules and pills and glasses of water I drink to my fill. White pills in blue, gray pills in green, all of these make up my daily routine. Then every few hours, I repeat this scheme until they don't work. Then I increase the green. Some days I wonder if I really am ill. Some days I drag through the day with no will. So as I pray each morning prayer, I pray that I will not despair. My spirits must be kept in sight to dance with joy at each daylight.
Yep, That says a lot about her spirit.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm an emotional person.
Hey,
But
that's okay. He's going on too. He can go carry on and run around.
oh
That's
yeah,
what
Goose.
that's what he does.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Um, that poem is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about some of your family members that are also in this book. So we have I just flipped to okay, Mirror Image is about her dearest daughter-in-law, Deborah Ann.
Yes.
Okay. And then we have there's one about her grandfather called The Prayer. My grandpa sat me on his knees to teach me words from Germany. And then we have Miss Madeline Rose.
Yes.
I love that poem. And then we have who else is in here?
Well, my grandsons, Josh and Justin.
Yes, Justin. So the poem called If Dreams is about Justin who plays baseball.
Yes, Justin loved baseball, and he was very good at it too.
Did you go to his games?
Yeah, and he was a good ball player. He, when anything was hitting his direction, it didn't get through him.
Wow. Then we have Joshua.
Yes.
She writes about Joshua going to college.
Mm-hmm.
That one was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was comical.
Yeah.
And then we have John. Who's John?
John is a Dominican priest who we befriended. He was administering to her father when he was in his last year of life. And he, at that time, he was a newly ordained priest. Now he's an old priest.
Wow. So
Yeah.
these poems have been around for a lifetime, you could say.
Well, yeah, they start when she was in college and they end about 2 years before her life. Parkinson's took her life. It's that to this day, there's still no cure for that disease. It's like Alzheimer's and MS. It's your body deteriorates over time, and it breaks your heart to see one's vibrant woman become increasingly feeble and then eventually pass.
Yes. Quick question about the group. Well, I know that you're a part of a chapter of the American Parkinson's Disease Association.
Yeah, I was
in
in Virginia Beach. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's when you were in Virginia Beach. Okay. Another thing, acknowledgements. So there were a few people who played a big part.
Right.
And so we have Kathy Boyd, who was a caregiver. And okay, so Kathy Boyd was the one who typed up all the poems.
Right. She took her handwritten poems and put them in electronic format.
Wow. And then we have Nancy Veldkamp, who was a caregiver.
Right.
It says that you guys became.
Yeah, she was like a daughter to us. She was really a fine lady.
Wow.
or is a fine lady. She's
Right.
still around.
And then we have Diane Swan, the wife of
Yes,
my Naval Academy roommate.
yes. Yes, Diane is an author, a published author also. And she is a lovely lady. And, Fred and I were roommates for 3 out of the 4 years at the Naval Academy. And he is a world renowned self-taught artist. He works in acrylics, and his paintings look like a photograph. They're that
Wow.
detailed. He has one painting where he has a wash hanging on a clothesline, and he even has the shadows the sun would cast on those clothespins on the ground. I mean,
Whoa.
he is very detailed, and he is self-taught. He never took an art class in his entire life.
Wow. And what's his name?
Fred Swan. And if you Google his name, you will find a lot out about him. He publishes a yearly calendar of his various paintings, and he sends me one every year that is autographed. And he's just fantastic.
Yes, I just looked him up and he is quite fantastic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fred
when you
Swan.
sent me I haven't talked to him lately. Unfortunately, my cell phone, which I'm getting a new one, was hacked, and they messed around with my contacts list. So, but excuse me. When he sent me his Christmas card, which includes a newsletter, I noticed he was putting on a little weight, so I have to razz him about that, because he was always slim. And I can't razz him about losing hair because I have less hair than he does.
That's funny. And it's nice when you have a friend that you've
Yes.
known.
Yeah. He was a really great guy. It is a great guy. What am I saying? Was. He's still around, thank God. So he can
That's
do
right.
more fantastic paintings.
I want to ask you one more question.
Sure.
What would you say? What do you want readers who read this book, The Pieces of Me? What is one of the main things that you want them to get out of this book? Or when they're done reading it, how do you want them to feel?
Feel good because the poems are very positive, and it gives a good insight into Bobby's thoughts and how she lived her life. And that's what I would like them to take away when they read that, because you can't, I don't think you can read that book without feeling good. And so if life's getting you down, pick that book up and read it.
All right, now I agree with that. And what if somebody is reading this book and maybe they want to send you a review or send you some feedback or ask you a question? Is there any way that readers can connect with you online?
Yes. My email address is my last name, Voelkel, initial R, 365 at gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Last question.
Mhm.
I guess when your last name is Voelkel, and so even when we first got your information from Book Trail, I thought of vocal, like vocal, Vocal. When you were a child, did anyone ever make puns or jokes about your last name?
No, I usually had to correct them on how to pronounce it because 95% of people get it wrong. So I said, it's pronounced vocal like a vocal arrangement or vocal cords, and I have one cousin who pronounces it vocal. And I was waiting for her to put a von in front of that to
That's
indicate
funny.
German nobility, but that doesn't exist in the family.
That is funny. Um, I can think of so many puns or just sentences and jokes off,
Oh,
vocal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
Mr. Vocal, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And I want to thank you for taking the time to memorialize your wife's work. And so now that her poems are published in this book is now available for people to have for generations to come.
Yeah,
And I'm so glad that we have a copy because this is going to go on our son's bookshelf.
yeah,
And all of this book is special because there's a story to her life, and there's
right.
when you're reading it, you can tell that there was love put into the process by you, by all of the people that you thank in the back of this book.
Mhm.
And so now her words will live on and travel
And
on.
hopefully, inspire other folks and
Absolutely.
make
Yeah.
them feel good. Now, the first picture you see on the top, right there, that is my favorite picture of Bobby. When that was taken, she was 28 years old and the mother of four. Yeah, I have two sons and two daughters,
Wow.
7 grandchildren.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. So you guys were young, and because I'm 28 years old and I only have one, so now I'm thinking, wow, truth to my story, that is a lot. And how did and and then of course she was doing all these things, and you guys were doing all these things, and so but you know what? Our Father gives us what we need and helps us put one foot in front of the other. And so, again, I want to thank you for your time today. And I want to encourage everybody who is watching this video or will be watching this video to come by Hidden Gems Literary Emporium, your family owned nonprofit community bookstore, and get your copy of this book, The Pieces of Me by Miss Bobbe Voelkel. And or if you give us a call, we would be happy to ship a copy of this book to your home for you. Mr. Vocal, thank you again for your time today. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
All right. I'll talk to you again very soon, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
No
I
problem. Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Bye
You
bye.
have a good day, and if you think things are going to be hard when your son turns 2, wait until he's a teenager. Then you really have to worry.
Well, that is funny. And he's been in the 2 stage since he was about 1. So we're pretty used to it now, and he's great. We call it the terrific 2s or the tremendous 2s. And but
Good.
I do think about the teenage years. I'm gonna have to call you back for some advice when we get there. Yeah, because you've been through the teenage years a few
Yeah,
times.
well, there was a time where my car insurance company loved me because there were 6 drivers in the family and 5 cars.
Whoa. I'm sure they did love you.
Yeah, now I'm down to 1, and that's all I need.
That's right. That's right. I feel like there's a lot more we could talk about too. I'm gonna call you really quick.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Okay, bye. Thank you.